Hey folks, it's Baron J67 with LV1 Gaming, and I had an absolute amazing opportunity. I'm over here at Annapurna, and we're sitting here at Summer Games Fest Play Days, the final day, and I got the awesome opportunity to check out and get hands-on with Mixtape. Now, I'm sitting here with Ramon, and you are
I'm the technical director at Beethoven Dinosaur.
Yeah. Yes, nice. Ramon. I'm gonna start with the question I like to ask up front.
Sure.
What is Mixtape?
Yeah, Mixtapes. I guess it's a game about three teenagers spending their last day together.
Okay.
And yeah, I suppose it's a mixtape of not only music but also different gameplay and experiences and feelings too.
Nice. Now, here I usually save this for the end, but I want to ask now because I want to get into the feel of the game.
Sure. Yeah.
Who is Mixtape for?
I mean, in my mind, Mixtape's really for everyone. Like you know, everyone is a teenager at some point.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, I suppose we're really trying to capture that feeling of being a teenager. Like I'm not really sure my place in the world. I'm like looking for what my identity is. Certain social situations I'm not sure how to navigate and feel about, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's quite accessible to anyone really.
And you know what's funny? That's usually an answer where everybody kind of goes, like really?
Oh, really?
Like, dude, really? Like this game's for everyone.
No.
But after playing it and feeling that, because we went through 3 tracks within the demo, correct? Was it 3 tracks?
Yeah.
We went through 3 tracks, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But I immediately, even though this isn't my time frame, for me, my last day of high school was in 2009. And this is in what year again?
It's not set in a specific year, but I'd say, late 80s, early 90s sort of.
So this is late 80s, but yet somebody in 2009, where that was my last day, I immediately had that feel. And then there was a point in the demo, and I hope I'm not spoiling anything because it was one line. This may be the last time we're all in my room. That hit me like a ton of bricks.
It's a bit of a tearjerker.
Yeah, just that one line.
Yeah.
And it didn't even stay long. There was a little pause, just enough. It was a breathable moment, but it didn't like try and rip your heart out. But it was. But
it could, depending on your experience, right?
Yes, and because you said, this is for everyone. Everyone was a teenager at some point.
Even within the development team, we have a fairly diverse, range of ages. Like, we have people who are like 20 years old, people who are like 40, whatever. Like, so, and I suppose it has been somewhat of a collaborative process as well. Like we'll get together and say, what were some of the memories and experiences and feelings, we all had at that time, Yeah, I'm glad to hear that that's come across, and it's not just like a, hey, remember this thing from the the news or whatever. It's really a lot more about the shared and universal experience.
Yeah,
so I'm really happy to hear that came across for you. Yeah,
and what were some big inspiration for you guys when making this game? Because there's a lot of, for me, I watch a lot of movies, and I felt a lot of different movie references, and then as a presentation, for me, I immediately thought, just for folks at home, just the scale of the feel of the world, Walter Mitty, the Big Fish, larger than life. That's what I got in my short time playing the game.
Yeah, I suppose there's been a variety of references. I suppose maybe one film I would probably call out specifically would be maybe Dazed and Confused.
Okay.
Just the teenage hangout vibe.
Yeah.
And, we're just sort of hanging out.
Yeah.
But there's also obviously a lot of love for music. And that's like when we were making the game. I guess a lot of games, what they'll do is they'll make what's called a vertical slice first. Highly polished, just here's one level as if it was to be released. We sort of did the opposite with this game. We did what we're calling a horizontal slice. We block out the whole game. And we had the whole mixtape and all the tracks and whatever, and and that way we could really choose. Okay, we want the gameplay to reflect the emotional high of this point in the, in the soundtrack, and I guess and same with the narrative. It's we wanted to all feel one cohesive and smooth flowing piece, as opposed to like, oh, here's a story and we'll just shoehorn some game in, you know, or the vice versa, you know. So
now, and speaking on that, every part of the demo, which I assume this is how the whole game is going to be, was interactive.
Yes.
There was no point where it was put the controller down and exposition.
Yeah.
And even in the exposition, you're interacting. And that drumming scene, the jamming scene.
Oh, you had fun with that one? Yeah.
Oh, dude. I thought that was the cool. Look, I know I'm supposed to be interviewing you, but guys, I'm fanboying out because it was that good. Like Mixtape. When I seen the trailer, I lost it because I immediately that feel that not even like, yeah, it's nostalgia, but just like the humanity of it. Like you said, everybody's a teenager, and being able to bottle that up and put it in a playable experience. And these aren't even people who lived the life I lived. They don't look like me. They don't, you know, we didn't come from the same area. Yeah, I longboarded. Yeah, I used to bomb hills, but I never bombed hills like that. Yeah. Like, you know, I never lived in a mountain town like that.
I've never ollied a car either myself. So,
yeah. You know, I never rode in a basket or anything like that, but I still had that feeling. It was something I could latch onto, and it hit home. And it was because, like you said, everybody is a teenager at some point. So this is now, how was it landing the music? Like, what was that experience like?
I mean, you know, it was like, there's a lot of like big artists there, but you know, I suppose, you know, if you're making a game about a music supervisor, you contact, you know, the music supervisor at Annapurna, they're gonna pull in some favors, and I guess like it's been a big effort, but I'm really, really happy with like the soundtrack we've been able to curate. And you know, there's like, for me, you know, I grew up with like a lot of these bands and stuff too, so to have like Smashing Pumpkins, for example, is a favorite of mine. To have them in the soundtrack is just like incredible, you know. So I'm super happy with that, and everyone on the team absolutely loves music. You know, which is great as well. And I think that's why maybe stuff like that headbanging memory does shine, because it's you know, to have people, I guess, like myself, who are both technical and
you're good. You're good. Just there you go.
Yeah, people like myself who are like technical and into music means, you know, we can really get the feel just right, and you know. But I guess everyone on the team like gets it, if that makes sense. You know?
And that's it. Was what I'm actually excited about, because when I hearing the tracks, it reminds me of what Tony Hawk did for me with music. Like Tony Hawk introduced me. I know that's not what we're here to talk about, but in terms of how the music functioned, it introduced me to so many different genres. Because my mom was an '80s baby, and you know, of course, you know, I have my Madonnas and my Prince. She's a diehard Prince fan. Shout out, Mom, love you. But there was a lot of stuff I didn't get introduced to, but games such as Tony Hawk.
That's a great point. As a way to introduce people to these other branches of music.
It's gonna be amazing what this is gonna do for folks. It's gonna, because I know what it did for me. So I can only.
That's true. I mean, I still put on like the Tony Hawk Underground soundtrack.
Okay, we'll talk. We'll talk later.
Yeah,
we'll talk later. But
good stuff.
But it, in you know, this it hits on so many different levels, and them ordering food and it's still jamming, and then they get the food and they're still jamming, and then even how it cuts and it ends on Slater's face, and it's like, that's how I remember it. And I'm like, even in that, guys, I played maybe 30 minutes. And I'm remembering that's how memorable these moments are. Like, I didn't take notes because I'm playing. Like, I didn't record anything, and these notes hit that strong.
Well, and I suppose that particular line, you know, it really is a bit like, at least in my mind, you know, like you do have the experiences, but over the years, you know, you build it up more and more in your mind, and it's like, you know, that's so as you can see, things get like pretty out of hand. You know, but I'm sure you can relate to, you know, these stories, these fables of
the tall tales,
the shenanigans you got up to, you know,
I'm like, no, bro, it wasn't 10 songs, it was only 2 songs. Like, you know, oh man.
That is what we're going for as well. So.
No, and I gotta say thank you, man. I haven't even, clearly I only played a small snippet of what's what's there. Now I got to ask the business questions.
Oh,
so how one, is there a price point for this game?
And we have a price point locked in. But
Okay.
yeah, I imagine there'll be more info on that later in the year.
Okay. Do we have an official release date?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we're hoping around like towards the end of this year. But yeah, we'll see. Again,
thank you so much, guys. Annapurna, Rahman, Mixtape. This has been an amazing experience. We're at Summer Games Fest Play Days, the final day. They're going to get to go home and maybe take a lot of this dope stuff, which you'll see online, and I'll walk around the room because they got some amazing stuff here. Awesome. Like it feels like my childhood. But yes, much love. Peace.